So today we'll be talking about how either to lose weight or gain weight, depending on what your goals are. And this is going to be targeted mainly around diet at this moment. If you're new to fitness and you've never really dieted for either losing weight or gaining weight, and generally when I say gaining weight, I mean gaining muscle, but it's still the concept on a dietary standpoint for the most part. You generally want to keep your protein levels pretty high, roughly about 40% at least, and 40% of your macros, which just check out my macro video on what those are. But you want to take in 40% of your macros from protein, so that way you have a sufficient amount of protein in your body, and especially when it comes to bulking and trying to gain weight. Now, to start off with, like, the most simplest approach is to start counting your calories. Whether you're losing weight or gaining weight, I always recommend just cutting out all calorie sources that come from liquids, just because all liquid calories are pretty much not good for you unless you're consuming like a protein shake, and even those are not completely optimal for your health. So I try to avoid any type of caloric liquid. Now the next step is to go ahead and start calorie counting. Now just track what you're eating on a daily basis. Don't necessarily start dieting just yet, but just count your calories. Find out what you're eating on a daily basis and start tracking it. Write it down. Write down what you're eating for breakfast. Write down what you're eating for lunch, dinner, all three of the meals of the day, snacks, everything. And start tracking that, and get a couple weeks of seeing what you eat and without changing really what you eat, and just get an understanding of how many calories you're taking in per day. And that'll give you a good milestone of where to start. Then you can use a calorie counter to add up the calories of the meals that then you can use a calorie counter to find out how many calories you actually need for the day, at least what is recommended for your weight and your body type. Now you'll get this general number, and I would suggest going to that number and staying at that number for anywhere from a week to a month. And the reason why you're going to go to that number and stay at that number is because you need to find out where you're truly at. Even though you're given this number, it may not be completely accurate. So you need to find a good true measurement for your body. Now, as you gain more muscle, you will be able to take in more calories, so that number will change. It won't be the same for your entire life. I'm able to consume probably almost 500 more calories now per day than I was when I very first started working out. And that's just because I was pretty frail, and now I've got a little bit of muscle on my body. And the more amount of muscle tissue you have on your body, the more calories you're able to consume per day for your body type. So get that initial understanding of how many calories you're needing per day, and adjust your eating habits to match your calorie goals. That way you can go ahead and start finding out where you're truly at. After a few weeks of going through this, you might find that you're either gaining weight or losing weight, or you may not see anything at all. So maybe it's pretty accurate and you are going to maintain that weight. So if you're wanting to lose some fat, I would suggest cutting off 250 calories from your goal for the day. And then I would sit there and I would track that for a week to a month again, and then just sit there and see what your body does, see how it reacts to it. If you're starting to see a response to it and you're starting to lose weight pretty fast, then go ahead and continue doing that. Just continue that 250 calorie reduction until you start to either not see progress, or if you end up having health issues because of it. If you cut down calories too low, you'll actually, may start feeling bad and whatnot. But if you've already checked yourself at a maintenance, 250 calories definitely should not put you at that unhealthy risk. Because if you already checked your maintenance, you know where your maintenance level's at, that'd be where the first initial risk would be at. But it really shouldn't be too risky, because that's going to be fairly close, within probably 500 calories for sure. What you'll want to see is roughly anywhere between a half a pound to 2 pounds of body fat lost per week. Anything more than that, I would say, is a little too aggressive, and anything less than that, well, it's going to be more of a lifestyle thing, and it's going to be super long progression. Now, if you're just trying to lose a couple pounds anyway, then you can lose less than half a pound, but it's going to be hard to track it. You need to be able to track this weight and track that you're slowly seeing the deduction in weight. And then after you reach a point where it seems like you're just not dropping down to weight anymore, what you'll go ahead and do is drop another 250 calories off of that. And then go ahead and stick with that 250 calories, that extra 250 calorie reduction, giving you a total of 500 calorie reduction from your maintenance calories. Go ahead and keep tracking that, making sure that you're starting to lose weight again, and continue this process. And you may reach a point where after you do this maybe 1 or 2 more times, that you will have to change up your diet in a way that maybe you start to eat more carbs than fats, or more fats than carbs, or you may have to boost your proteins up a little bit more. but changing your macros around will help with losing weight and gaining weight as well. Now, as far as bulking and gaining weight, it's going to be the same concept. The only thing is you got to ensure that you're working out along with it, and you may want to elevate your protein levels even a little bit more. You're still following the same general concept of you'll be bumping up your calories by 250, and then seeing what progress and what results you get from that, and then bump it up another 250. I am personally a fan of a lean bulk because you don't want to gain a bunch of extra fat and then have to cut a bunch extra off at the end. And on top of that, the more fat you have to cut off in the end, the more muscle you're going to probably end up losing during the cut. So it's just better off just to take that slower approach. You'll look better while you're bulking. You'll look better when you're cutting, and it'll be easier for you to cut. You'll retain more muscle. There's a curve that the more calories that you take in, just because you take in more calories don't mean you make more gains. There's a threshold there. Generally about 500 calories above whatever your maintenance is probably the top of what I would go. Maybe 750, but that's really, really pushing it. And I would also be suggesting that you're doing some type of other cardio stuff like stair stepper or something that may help build muscle inadvertently. This is just intended to be a quick little video to kind of help people who have not really had much experience with dieting and trying to lose fat or gain muscle. Let me know if you like this type of video. If you have any other questions or comments, put them down below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. And hopefully this helped you guys, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.